Hello YouTubers, this is a noobifier. We're out here. This is a non-prepared room. And by that I mean that has no wall treatments whatsoever to stop echo or anything like that. And it is full of very, very cool technical items. And all of these things do add up and they do kind of cut down a little bit on echo, but not like if you took a deliberate attempt to do that. So come with me. Hopefully the lighting is good. This room is... It's not very well lit for what we're doing, but it should work fine. And I'm purposely kind of delaying a little bit so that you guys get a little bit more audio. What we're going to do though is we're going to go in here. This is the actual studio. It's much darker. And the wall, there are two walls, two ceilings, and a pair of doors. And those doors are the subject of today's video. So hopefully, once I close door number 1, and I close door number 2, hopefully you'll be able to hear a difference in the audio. So this is a treated room. This is an anechoic isolated room. You can see all over the walls and doors. Everything has been designed just to absorb sound. And for the remainder of the video, we're going to be on this guy. So there was the intro. I'm always in search of better quality in my content, and there's a great second purpose for this video. Products that reduce echo and cut down on noise would normally be seen just to have a specific use in studios or a similar environment. But there's something very good about controlling our environment in general. It's very healthy for your mind and it's great to plan as part of your overall quality of life. More and more, we're spending more and more time at home, doing meetings at home, and we've all been in that meeting where the speaker's using a default microphone on their crappy laptop. It's distracting and you might actually leave that meeting zonked, needing a break before doing the next thing. That's unacceptable. I would say that practically everyone is aware of the benefits in sound control in the form of that wall treatment. You know, the foam that you put on your wall. The more items you place in the room, the more treated that space will be considered. And that's good. It is actually possible to over-treat the room, but that's like something else. That's audiophile stuff, and we're not going to bother talking about that. Items in a room only do so much, and very, very large blank walls are reflectors and cause reverberations regardless of what's going on. There are also external noises from the environment. Perhaps you share a space with others. So step 1 for me was 2015 when I first began making content. As part of building content for YouTube, I used to wait till the evening and then I would build out this little foam box around my microphone before recording audio. This worked fairly well and prevented the house and environment noise from messing up my track. But it was terribly inconvenient because I couldn't just work whenever I wanted to, and it started to get pretty lame the more times that I did it. So when we moved to a new house and I saw the basement, with the help of my very good friend Kyle, we built an isolated and anechoic room. A room in a room with double ceilings and double doors. Extra steps were taken during the construction, including isolating foam, isolating gunk, insulation in all cavities. The internal room was isolated from the outside room, and I made one critically bad decision back then. And today I finally have a full solution thanks to a new product that Arrowzoom now offers. After going through all of that effort, the doors that I used when building were regular hollow interior doors that were commercially available at Home Depot. Fairly cheap, and I'm sure that's why I chose them. But if I had to do again, I may have actually installed 2 external solid doors on this studio instead. As soon as the room was built, the results were fantastic. I applied foam to the walls and they did exactly what they were supposed to do, like you heard at the beginning. The echo was cancelled out internally, but there was still some noise passing through the door. I quickly identified that the doors themselves were basically sound sieves. They were doing not very much to help. They were too light and hollow. Foam panels on the walls worked very well, so I decided to put those on the inside of the door as well. That did a great job for the echo inside, but I could still hear outside, and people outside could very clearly hear me too. I found some thick yoga mats at IKEA for like $40 each. They were attached in place on the inside of each door, filling up that hollow void, and the results were actually very good. A year later, I decided to apply what's called Dynamat to the inside of the studio door to add mass and improve isolation even further. That worked very well. Everything remained like it was for 4 years until I upgraded my microphone when I returned from tour. Before we go any further, I'd like to say that we're talking about tenths of percents now, the true definition of a diminishing return, where you apply more and more effort to achieve that last little effect. The SM7B microphone from Shure is chosen by many podcasters and broadcasters as it offers a fantastic sound and rejects off-axis noise very well. It sounds very good, and generally, it's clean, with a decent resting floor and a decent range. You would use this microphone anywhere, but it would actually work very well on a trade show floor, perhaps in an open environment doing an interview, exactly like what it was designed for. It would work very well in an untreated room. It achieves this by being quite directional, but there are costs and compromises. The Shure KSM44A, which is what I upgraded to when I was looking for a better microphone. It's notorious for having a minimal sound floor. That's that ambient hiss that you might hear when you're recording. It's just barely there on some microphones, but on this one, it's like inaudible. So with that, it's also notorious for having a wider overall range, plus it's much easier to drive than the SM7B, meaning that I wouldn't have to pass the recording through a cloud lifter. One less box, one less connection. It's extra sensitive, and it picks up everything, all of the extra detail. But that comes at a cost. You can hear all of these little nuances and you get better representation of the real audio. So now we get to the real fun parts. Despite being in a fully treated, isolated room, the new microphone, when doing exactly what it should, did it so well that it defeated my door and picked up details outside of the room. The door became a problem again and I needed a full solution. Yoga mats were fine up till now, but what I actually needed was mass and a dense felt type covering. 5/8" medium density fiberboard would give the doors that extra mass that they were lacking. The MDF was attached to the door, suspended on green glue and held in place with 4 flush bolts. Once the green glue kind of set, everything was good. No vibrations, and this significantly improved the isolation, but I was still getting a little bit of echo from outside of the room. So I went further and I figured out that if sound was cancelled on the outermost surface closest to the sound sources outside, that would be great. Arrowzoom to the rescue with 2 door kits intended for exactly what I was having problems with. The products arrived nicely bundled in the mail. It includes some tools and a link to an install video. Those are super helpful, but the process is pretty simple, right? PL300 was said to be formulated specifically not to destroy foam, so win. With the laser level set, I applied the adhesive and flattened it down. I could have removed the door to lay it flat, but I actually wanted to get the foam directly against the edge to create a decent seal. I used a box of T-needles to hold everything in place temporarily. This was super easy and it wasn't very much work to get the main pieces installed. The rest of them did require some fancy cuts. For crafts, I have a self-healing mat, a very sharp carpet knife, and a square edge. After 8 simple cuts, I had everything I needed to finish. In total, I would say I invested about an hour to do both sides of one door. The results were instantly obvious and I had finally found a solution. I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do the inside of the other door, but really, what's on there now is fantastic, and it's totally fixed the problem. So I'm going to end with an observation. I love working in this space because I can think better and I can operate better. I'm rarely distracted in that space, and it's largely due to the fact that it's so quiet. I can hear myself think. I can actually hear blood rushing through my head, which is a little bit weird. But perhaps you have a basement theater that overwhelms the entire house when it's being used. Perhaps there are 2 people who work from home who have conference calls at the same time. Perhaps you'd like to do nothing more than limit the amount of sound in your newborn's bedroom. All of these are the great reasons that I spoke about, which you can quickly tackle in your own environment. If you want to, take a look at the specific types of product being offered. I've trusted their foam panels for quite some time now, and now the door treatment is just good. Like, it's just perfect, and it's made me very happy. So that was pretty quick, and I hope the video was an interesting topic. I would ask you to comment your comments in the comments. Do you have a sound situation that you have questions about? Do you have a success story in taming your own space? All the links are in the description. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Fly safe, and I'll hear you in the verse.